Hey, everybody. Welcome to Lifestyle Today. I'm your host, Justine Santinello. So, are you guys ready for Halloween yet? I am so excited for you guys to see my family's costumes. I'm not going to lie, they're pretty amazing. And I'm so happy that Parker is still up for a family costume. Now, if you're still prepping for your Halloween festivities, be sure to head to our website to catch up on last week's episode where I gave a ton of ideas to help step up your game. Now, let's switch gears a little bit. You guys know that I love a good binge watch, and my latest favorite has been the first installment of American sports story, Aaron Hernandez. And the 10-episode limited series charts the rise and the fall of NFL superstar Aaron Hernandez, exploring his life, his career, family, his legacy, and really beyond. Josh Rivera stars as Aaron Hernandez and is joining us now to tell us all about the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So there have been a few projects now, right, that have been dedicated to the life of Aaron Hernandez. You know, there's been podcasts and TV series. What do you think makes this series different from something that we might have seen before?
Yeah. I'm glad to answer that. I think the amount of content that's been made surrounding the situation is a really big testament to how many ways you can really look at it and how many perspectives are surrounding the whole thing. What we can do from a dramatization standpoint that you might not get from a documentary or podcast is, you know, we walk through the story chronologically from beginning to end, starting in high school and ending with his passing. And it gets this very intimate, emotional perspective that you might not get from anything else. Like, we have all of the same, events that are portrayed in the documentaries and the shows and stuff like that, but with the added, more publicly gray, speculative moments. And you see these emotional seeds and these threads that are planted in the beginning, and how they're kind of sown and how they grow into a person that you don't recognize by the end of the series, which is it's something really interesting to watch from that point of view, I think.
So I have to ask, what was it like working with Ryan Murphy and working on one of his projects?
Yeah, something that I've said before is, I mean, the man's already got this pretty large legacy. He's a very, very prolific guy. I mean, it feels kind of, it just feels really cool to be any part of that legacy at all. The guy knows what he's doing. What else can I really say?
Yeah. So then what was it like for you preparing for this role? I imagine that it was probably very different from anything else that you've done, right? Especially in the physical aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. The physical part was the fun part. I did really like getting very big. I had a good time with that. The challenge was because there's already this established perspective on the story. It's widely known. It was a real media spectacle when it was happening. And with that in mind, something that's difficult is people are already going to have impressions about it going in, which is simultaneously daunting and also exciting, because I would hope to be able to give people some new, fresh perspective who have kind of established ideas about the whole thing. But also, you know, I can't really cater to that. I can't cater to what people's ideas are of the whole thing, because it's my job to look at all the facts as they're presented and, you know, bring what I can, as objectively as I can, bring some sort of humanity and authenticity to the story. And I have to make that compatible with the existing ideas of what the story is too, it's a very, very interesting challenge. And it's not something I've ever had to deal with before. I mean, particularly with fictional IP, you know, you don't really have to deal with stuff like that.
So then what has this project taught you about football and the effects on players, you know, CTE and everything else? Have you learned something from this?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot about CTE in general and what it can do to a brain and how common it seems to be. It's only able to be diagnosed after death, but I would imagine that there's probably a lot of mild to moderate variances of it in more people than we think. But that being said, I think a lot of this story gets pinned on the CTE component, and I think that is like a large component to it. But something else that I learned was there's a real complexity to this guy's life, and there's a lot of factors that he faced for a very long time. He had a complicated relationship with his father, a complicated relationship with his family and with his friends and with football and with his masculinity. And with all of these factors together, throw in getting famous really young. He was one of the youngest players drafted into the NFL and to the New England Patriots, which was a very, very huge franchise at the time. And getting a bunch of money at such a young age too. Like, think about what that does to a completely healthy mind, and then throw on top of it the addition of CTE. I mean, it's yeah, it's a crazy cocktail. I guess it just had me asking a lot of questions about, you know, the kind of person that I would be in that situation, and how I would handle things, how difficult that might be. Yeah, it's a lot of food for thought there.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, we'll be right back.